Next up, we have Brother Muhammad Umair. Muhammad is actually a Raqi who has visited and spoken to patients in Cambridge, London and the surrounding areas, practicing Ruqya strictly according to the Qur'an and the Sunnah. He's heavily involved with the organization Beat Sihr, which aims to raise awareness about the reality of magic and jinn possession, offering readily available information for users all over the world, and empowering victims to overcome the mental and emotional negativity that results from such a trouble. If I could invite Brother Muhammad to come to the front, please.
Jazakallah khair for inviting me here, inshallah. And I've been requested to talk about in regards to jinn possession, magic, and in relationship to the mental health and how these two correlate with each other, inshallah. First of all, let's start with what is jinn and magic, and just quickly, briefly, explain what those are for anyone that doesn't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, jinn was created by Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed we created man from dried clay of black smooth mud, and created jinn before that from smokeless flame of fire. Allah also states in the Qur'an, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We created jinn and mankind none except but to worship me. So it clearly shows that there is a reality of jinn. They are a being of a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that coincides with us in all our aspects. We know jinn are created for many different purposes, and from the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam, we know that he used them for all aspects of his life. In Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the ability to have power over them and to use them. So the next step is black magic, and black magic is another one that is clearly stated in the Quran that from the story of Musa alayhi salam, also it was afflicted, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam was also afflicted with magic, which is clearly stated in some hadith as well. And these things are variously interlinked with mental illness in ways that we don't really seem to understand how they are linked, because it is, for a lot of people, it is one of those subjects which is unfortunately very taboo. People think it's, mental health is very taboo for a lot, especially in the Asian subcontinent. People don't want to attribute mental health with their families. They, my child cannot have this mental illness, or this family member cannot have that. But on the other hand, it's jinn possession. A lot of people are afraid to talk about jinn possession to an extent that if they discuss it, it may, for a lot of people from what experience that I have known, that when they discuss about jinn, they feel like that I may get afflicted, I may get possessed. Jinn, when you talk about it, jinn come around you and I may get possessed. So they are to an extent afraid of discussing this. And this is one of those these two topics in itself are needed for everyone to understand and know, because unfortunately, especially in the Asian subcontinent, both are very common. Jinn magic is very common, and jinn possession is very common, as well as mental illness, which is very readily refuted. So inshallah, bismillah, we're going to start. I'm just going to elaborate on a few cases that I've experienced and what sort of situations the individual went through in these. The first case was of an individual who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but unfortunately the situation was with the family that they did not choose to believe that this person that there was anything that wrong mentally with this individual. So they chose to ignore any form of medical treatment. They did not go to any doctors, at all, throughout the whole period of this. But in actual fact, they just went through the healing process of Ruqya, and unfortunately, due to the lack of understanding and knowledge of this family, unfortunately, they went through several wrong methods before they actually went to the correct method. So before they called a legitimate Raqi, they went to all these Maulanas, these Pirs, and these Imams who actually started handing out ta'weez, handing out these things that to burn them, say this will cure them, this person has got jinn, and this will help them. For a period of time, in actual fact, what happened was this person actually ended up getting possessed as a result of this. Because we know that these things, all of these ta'weez are all affiliated with magic and jinn. And alhamdulillah, once done the ruqyah with this individual, and there was mild effect of magic on them. And once that was cured, we came to the understanding that there was a long-lasting effect of mental illness there, which was, and which they were advised to seek medical treatment. And unfortunately, this family refused to seek medical treatment, said they did not believe that was the case. So they went through another few other, legitimate raqis, and again, they were confirmed that. And alhamdulillah, after a period of time, they got back to me and they stated that we've gone through this, and the individual is, mashallah, feeling better, going through the correct treatment, but as a result of this, waiting period where they didn't get the correct treatment, the individual's mental health had deteriorated considerably. So, whereas after a short period of time through medical treatment, this person would have been absolutely fine under the right medication and the right treatment, where it took a lot longer and the person was not able to get to a stage where, they were fully mentally stable. The second situation is, again, something very similar to this. Again, but this individual was actually taken to the medical route, and they were actually clinically diagnosed with schizophrenia. And but again, alhamdulillah, this family was practicing, so they went through the medical treatment. They also went through the spiritual treatment. But unfortunately, this again, with all of these conditions, people start getting hopeless, start getting restless. Why isn't things working? Why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? And they seem to realize that, alongside all the medication, the person was becoming a bit more normal, a bit more, relaxed, because they were going through very, psychotic phases, so to speak, where they were getting very agitated, very aggressive. They were screaming, shouting throughout the house for no apparent reason. And so, with this medication that they were placed upon, they started calming down, and they were actually to then dull down to say, because what all these medications, what they do is they actually numb your brain. So, because that individual's brain has become hypersensitive. But in actual fact, they started doing this, but after a while, the medication stopped working. And again, they went sought through the ruqyah treatment again alongside the medication, and they came to realize that, again, it wasn't purely medical, which they had got first. It wasn't medical, it was actually jinn possession, which they had got frustrated with initially, so they left that route. And alhamdulillah, again, same situation after the ruqyah treatment, this person started feeling much better, but again, because of the prolonged medical treatment, which was the incorrect method of treatment for this individual, they went through a lot of problems in their life as a result of it, because that sort of treatment is very mentally grueling. It's mentally very difficult to deal with for a lot of people as well. Even whether you're mentally stable or not, if you're put in that position, it will be very difficult for you, because again, the medication, it's really attacks your brain and it really numbs your brain. And so after the ruqyah treatment, alhamdulillah, the patient was fine, but as a result of the prolonged period of treatment with the medicine, the individual needed, again, a different form of treatment, which was, counselling in order to overcome what had happened to them, their experiences, what they had mentally and physically gone through, along with that treatment, because that family, they had instilled in that person that they were afflicted with jinn and they were afflicted with magic. So even though after they were cured, that was still in their mind that I've still got jinn, I've still got. So because some actually, when you have jinn, you have some symptoms and certain. The Qur'an will affect you in different ways. So regardless of after the treatment, this individual was still actually behaving like they were possessed when they had Qur'an or when they were praying, so they refused to pray and so on. And alhamdulillah, after a prolonged period of the treatment of counselling, discussing, explaining to them, what the issue was, explaining how to overcome this mentally. And after, the individual started to overcome this, but it's a very long process for anyone to deal with. And this is one of the things that we have to understand, that counselling, especially for a lot of people, is needed. And it's not one of those things that should be looked down upon. It is very vital in our society to discuss. A lot of people seem to feel that, not talking about it, having things pent up inside you is the best way of dealing with it. But there is only a small minority that can actually deal with situations in that manner. But that's only, again, to a certain point, certain limit that they can take. After that, they will end up exploding. You will have sort of say, I'm a very patient person, I'm a very patient person, and everything, you take everything on board. You may take everything personally, but you don't talk about it, you don't take it, let it lash out about it at that time, and you just take it on board, and after a while, whether it be 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, even a year or 2 years down the line, it will become so much that you will explode, and you will lash out, unfortunately, at the wrong people. For argument's maybe your family or your spouse in the completely wrong manner, and that could have detrimental effects on the family. Again, another situation was with another individual who was actually severely, just purely depressed. She called for ruqya done several times, and we did the ruqya. We explained to her that there was no effects of jinn or magic on her, and that in fact she needed to seek a different form of Islamic treatment, which was go through Islamic counselling to discuss what her issues was. But unfortunately, she wasn't happy with that. She didn't want to believe she was depressed. Because her husband wasn't at home, she had suffered from postnatal depression, which was untreated, and it had gone to a stage where everything would just become so much for her, she couldn't take it. Unfortunately, the kid then, her husband had enough of her as well, so they were having constant bickering because she wasn't able to discuss what was going on with her mentally. And also, because of this situation where a lot of the time you feel depressed, you're feeling anxiety, you also suffer from a lot of panic attacks. And this was what this individual was going through, constant panic attacks as well. So for her, it was, she was adamant that she was possessed, she had jinn, but also she wanted to seek medical treatment where she was suffering from panic attacks, where she wasn't able to get hold of Baraki to come see her. So she kept on calling ambulances in a way to have some form of treatment, have some form of interaction with somebody to not for herself to believe that there was anything wrong with her on a mental level, but it was an external problem affecting her. So again, it comes back down to the point that it's very important for everyone, especially if you have family members or friends or anybody else that you know that is going through an issue that needs to seek help, then it is best thing is to help them, because at that time the individual will be very reluctant to seek any form of help, which you mentioned, counselling, or say there's a mental issue there, you need help with this. They're very reluctant to do it. So you have to be very gentle, very patient with that individual to deal with them, to push them in the right manner to seek that help. Okay, some of the issues symptoms actually, shall I say, some of the symptoms that individuals will experience due to sihr and jinn possession are as follows, inshallah. These symptoms can often be due to that happen simultaneously, or they can be progressive in stages. So the first one we'll look at is the most common one, which I've already explained, is depression. Depression has various different stages in regards to it. Some of the underlying effects of depression is sihr and jinn possession. For now, jinn. If you are suffering from jinn, whether it's possession or external jinn possession, where the jinn is around you, it causes extreme waswasa, and that will cause you to make you feel like that you can in many different ways. In one way that would make you feel that you are worthless, you are nothing. You don't have iman. You are, so it's that sort of thing where it's like same thing as a child being bullied at school. So if a child is being bullied at school and they are being bullied and saying, everyone starts telling them you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, and the actual fact they're not. But after a period of time, the individual will start believing that they are actually fat. It's the same thing with jinn possession. The extreme waswasa on a constant basis in your head, you start to believe that it's reality and that is the fact. Also, same thing you can have with magic. The magic is done for a specific purpose and intention. One could be most commonly known is for sihr of tafriq, for separation, husband and wife. Now this sihr of separation will be, if affected on both partners, will have detrimental effect on each one. So now the magic will cause either individual to see the other partner as ugly, or make the magic will affect their senses to feel like that the other partner smells really bad, so they don't want to be around them. Or it just affects them mentally to get them really angry, agitated around that person. But yet, when they are away from each other, they will be absolutely fine with each other. They want to actually talk to each other, they want to actually see each other. So another scenario that you will have is where these things also, these small instances that may happen because of the magic, small problems that you may have, will be magnified to like tenfold. So now an example would be that, say there is a table and both partners are sitting on the table, and one moves the knife towards the other one on the tight because they see that they need it, whereas the other partner, they will seem to feel that they've just threatened them with that knife. So there was absolutely harmless action there, but in their mind, it was something harmful to them. So on this basis, the individual starts to feel very depressed after a period of time where this is not working for me, and they start to become distant from each other and don't want to interact with each other. And over a prolonged period of time, that will have effect on them mentally, where they start becoming isolated from everyone, not talking to anyone, and staying away from everything, and this will start having an effect on their other aspects of their life. So on other factors like their other families, they will start staying away from them. Maybe they start to feel like, because it's happening with him, it's going to start happening with them, so I don't want to start being around them. It will start having an effect on your job. Because you're affected with this, you don't feel motivated, you don't want to go out and do anything, you don't want to put any effort into anything. It will also have an effect on your friends, so you don't want to be around anyone, you want to be on your own. Your friends contact you, say let's go, you want to meet up, come round, just don't want to do it. And again, after a period of time, it becomes a normal thing. And once you're in that stage of it being normal, it's very difficult to get out of. This is why it's very vital for family members and friends to realize what the situation, realize what is going on. On that basis, you need to have knowledge, learn about these things and how they affect individuals to stop this from happening, or if it is happening, stop it from getting worse. Again, the next one, which is linked to this, is negative thinking. So now you could have negative thinking on every aspect of life. One would be, again, your appearance, your work, your family. You would feel negative about all of these things. You don't want to do them, you don't want to be around them. So it's all linked to it. And after this one, the next one you would address is self-harming. This is, again, very common with this. Because self-harming is one of those things, it's because of the severe depression and all the negative thoughts that are going on in the individual's mind. They start to feel that nobody loves them, nobody cares for them, nobody wants to be around them, that everyone hates them, everyone is out to get them. And that pressure, that tension built up inside these individuals, the only form of release for them where they can't speak to anyone is by self-harming, to an extent that they feel like when they self-harm, it makes an opening in them to relieve some of that pent-up tension, pent-up pressure within them. But also we have to think about this. If this isn't jinn possession or magic, some of the factors that we have to take into account that can lead to jinn possession, especially, is extreme anger and extreme sadness. Also, when leading to a depression, that can leave an opening for jinn possession. So now, you may be, whatever situation has happened, you've lost a loved one, you've lost a child or whatever, and you start going into extreme depression about it. At that stage in time, the jinn will come to you, and they will start doing even more waswasa, saying, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't love you, that's why He has taken your child, that's why He's taken this family member from you. And that was after a prolonged period of time, because of this severe thinking that the jinn is placing in that mind. This person will start slowly, if they are practicing, they'll start slowly moving away from their deen, stopping their prayers, their adhkar. And we know that your morning, especially your morning and evening adhkar, are your form of protection from the jinn and your form of prayers. So now, and if you stop your prayers, then what is there to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to help you? If you're not obeying Him with what He has requested of you, why is He going to think and consider helping an individual? So, and we know that everything that happens to us is a test for us from Allah. and He tests only those that He loves and wants those that want to come closer to Him. He wants them to come closer to me, so I will test you. And He only burdens an individual to the limit that he can bear, not more than that. So if you haven't broken down, that means you have not reached your limit. And if you have reached your limit, you cannot break down. The only thing to come back is to get back up again on your feet. Another one to next look at is, another condition is OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, which is, again, very common from experience now, very common with people who are suffering from jinn possession. And a lot of the time, these OCD symptoms will take effect, especially during period in that time where during the day when they're about to pray or when they're about to do some adhkar or any form of ibadah, such as, one of the most common is, there are a few people I've dealt with that who have obsessive compulsive disorder of cleaning, of keeping tidy, or washing their hands. I've personally witnessed an individual who has actually, before leaving their house, they have actually twisted the handle on their door 3 times, closed the door, locked the door, and then opened again. They had to do this 5 times before they actually physically left their house. And this is one of those things, to an extent, it plays on your mind. It's more, the individual claims that they are unable to control it. It's as though somebody has control of their body where they cannot take control of their own arm to stop what they are doing. And this is very common to an extent, especially, like I said, during the time period when a person is about to do any form of ibadah. And a few of the other symptoms that are linked with this are split personality disorder, where there's, we know if a person has split personality, a lot of the time one is the individual, which is a lot of time very suppressed and comes out rarely, but the other one is the jinn. And again, a lot of these symptoms will have an effect on the individual, but they will be more predominant with these symptoms, especially if the person is not on their deen, is not on their prayer, is not doing what they should be. And unfortunately, because of the situation of these things and the lack of knowledge, especially with family members and friends, they do not push the individual to do this. They think, oh, this person's going to be crazy, let's just leave them to it, or let's just send them to a mental institute, or they need ruqya, they're possessed. But you need to speak to them, you need to help them overcome this as well on a personal level, because they can go out and get treatment, but when they come home, they need to start helping themselves, and the only way they're going to do that is by somebody encouraging them to do it. A few of the others are, again, bipolar, schizophrenia, hallucinations is another one of them, suicide, foggy thinking. Okay, some of the few milder ones which aren't, a lot of time people don't think that can be due to depression or even jinn possession and magic, and these are linked, are people, a lot of time people, they feel very dazed, having foggy thinking, having dizziness all the time, lack of concentration, difficulty studying, lack of spirituality, inability to form relationships. Now these 3, the lack of concentration, difficulty for studying, and lack of spirituality, these a lot of time are originating from the cause of evil eye. These are very common symptoms of somebody suffering from ayn or hasad. And as you realize, these symptoms, as I've listed them, are, to an extent I've already said, interlinked. There are stages to them, and they are ranging from one after the other. Like I said, from depression to self-harming, OCD. These are all sort of linked with each other. Okay. Some of the things that we can do in order to overcome these problems, treatment-wise. How can we help ourselves? How can we help our loved ones? How can we help family and friends around us with overcoming these problems? One of the main points that I want to mention is how can we go seeking treatment for ourselves? The most important thing we need to ask ourselves is, are we on our deen? Are we on our salah? Are we doing our adhkar? Are we obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If we're not, then that is the first step we have to take. And if our members are not, this is the first step we have to push them to take. Because, like I said, if you're not doing this, what is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to help you find? Allah is more powerful or merciful, yes. And He may help you regardless of whether you do them or not. But if you want full cure, full shifa, and you want the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with easy cure, then you have to be obeying him, you have to be following his guidance and doing as he has commanded. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says in the Quran, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And we have sent down the Quran as a mercy and a healing for those who believe. So if you believe, then the Quran is a shifa for everything. But that's not to say that, I guess as I said previously, is you seek only one treatment, which is the ruqya or the medical route for it. You know, everything has its limitation and its boundaries for it. So now, for argument's sake, say you have a family member or somebody that who is going through an issue. And if they're going through this issue, then you should think about getting them help, but not just one but both. So you start with the medical route, but also go to the ruqya treatment, so to get an understanding of which one it is. And if you are going for the ruqya and there is a clear signs and symptoms there for the ruqya is apparent, then that's the route you should take. But if it's not, don't start just reject the ruqya as well. Go for the medical treatment as well. But again, as I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when we send the Quran down is a mercy and a healing. So that in itself is a shifa. But also you have to take into account that you have to be doing the correct treatment. It's like for me saying, I've got a headache and I'm going to take paracetamol. But if I firmly believe that this paracetamol is going to cure my headache, then I am severely deluded. Because it is not the paracetamol that cures me, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who, through this paracetamol, is going to be the cure. So it's, a lot of people come to for ruqya who have jinn possession or magic and they believe that the raqi is going to cure them. They need to change that way of thinking, and a lot of times the raqis don't explain this. Like, they need to realize that it is not the person who does the ruqya upon them that is going to cure them, it is a means for them to get cured by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so on the other side we have to look at is the fact that a lot of time when people go for ruqya treatment and they want to get the right treatment as well, they go along with the medical, they go along with the ruqya side, but a lot of time because family members aren't educated, aren't know where to look, or they've just been recommended an individual, so they may again go back to the wrong type of person. They may go to again all these dodgy peers, maulanas and imams who start handing out ta'weez and all of this stuff. This in itself will cause more issues for the person. So if they have a medical issue, by going to all of these people, it will in actual fact cause them more harm, because through this it will actually add sihr to their problem, it will add jinn to their problem, then it becomes even more, their situation becomes even more deteriorated, and it becomes even more difficult for them, for the individual to cope themselves and for the family to cope with them. Okay, Jazakallah khair, inshallah.